So who earns the most money on a construction site? And if I want to earn the most money, who do I need to work for? Who are we looking at? We've got at the top our project manager, then we've got our senior site managers, quantity surveyors, design manager, we've got a sales team, we've got customer care, we've got document controllers, admin staff, and then we've got all of the tradesmen and the like. I'll cover those in a separate video. So for now, we're just going to look at the professionals. When we're looking at who earns the most money, what's really interesting is there's an inverse relationship between how much knowledge you need to know and how long it takes you to move up the corporate ladder. The more you need to know, say like an architect who studies for 7 years at university, it takes a long time to progress in your career. And there's ever-changing building regulations and rules and fire strategies and updates. And you need to know them all. So it takes a long time to move up. Whereas somebody like a quantity surveyor who just has to learn their subcontract, it doesn't take very long. And even less than that, somebody like your sales team or your land team, where the job is very much about personality and relationships, you can move up very quickly in the corporate ladder. The other thing we need to consider is when we look at our pay, is how many people want to do that job. So lots of people want to be site managers, and a lot of people from other countries want to be site managers as well. So there's a lot of foreign labour. This drives the wages down. A job role like architecture, a lot of people want to be architects and they want to be designers. It's popular, it's creative. Again, a lot of people want to do it, drives wages down. Whereas something like a quantity surveyor who argues with people and looks at contracts, not many people want to do that. And because not many people want to do it, wages increase. So you've studied your construction degree. You're fresh off the construction university boat. How much are you going to earn? Well, pretty much across the board, you're going to earn about £25,000 on a graduate scheme. Graduate scheme will usually last 2 years. In your second year, you probably earn an extra £500, which isn't a lot because divided by 12 months, that is £41.60 extra per month. Take away the tax, you're probably on about £30 a month extra. Take away inflation, you probably lost a tenner a month. So not great. But once you finish your graduate scheme, you'll probably be on about £30,000 a year as a trainee or assistant, say assistant site manager, design manager, quantity surveyor. After you finish the grad scheme and you move into your trainee assistant role, that's where things start to get interesting and the amount of money you make really starts to differ. So if we look at my career, for instance, I started off as an intern. Then I went on a graduate scheme. First year, £23,500. Then I actually left the grad scheme because they wanted to pay me another £500. And I was like, well, I'm losing money here. So I left them and I joined a different company. That's when I left Taylor Wimpey and joined Berkeley Group. And they paid me £31,000. About 14 months after that, I left Berkeley Group and I joined a contractor. So I went from graduate, I went to assistant, and then I went to project surveyor. But I was kind of surveyor number 2, project surveyor. So I earned £45,000 a year there. And then I think 6 months after that, I left them and then I took a role as, again, kind of project surveyor. And that was for £60,000 a year. And then I started consulting. So how much does everybody earn on the construction site? So if we start at the top, we've got your project manager. He's responsible overall. The buck stops there. It stops with your project manager. Obviously, he's going to earn the most. Wage, circa 100k. And with that comes the responsibility that if somebody dies on site, they're probably at fault. It's jail time. So project manager at the top, 100k. Your number 2, which is your right-hand man to the project manager, the commercial lead or project QS. They're looking at anywhere between £60,000 and £80,000 with a good bit of experience. Let's say everybody has between 3 and 5 years experience and they know what they're doing. Site manager. Site managers, I think, suffer from a lot of people want to do it. A lot of people come from the trades and they move into site management. So wages tend to stay quite low comparatively. So for an experienced site manager, £50,000 to £55,000 a year. Then we've got your design manager or your architect. Design managers tend to go from 40 to, again, about 65k if they're kind of a rising star. Bit of range in this one, design manager. It depends a lot who you work for. Do you work for an architect firm? Do you work for a developer? Next, we've got contracts manager. So say you work for a carpentry subcontractor and you're managing 3 or 4 sites. How much are you likely to earn? Well, between £40,000 and £50,000. We've got a foreman. again, you're managing one site. You're probably looking at about £40,000. Again, if you're working for, say, a carpentry subcontractor or a ground worker. Then we've got an estimator, again, working for a subcontractor. They're probably on about £35,000. And somebody in the sales team, I put near the bottom because their basic is low. So you're going to have a low basic. It's going to be, 28 to £32,000. But you get commission on sales. There's potential there to go higher. It just depends. Have you got the stock to sell? Is it a good product? And are there people willing to buy? How is the housing market right now? Last of all, I suppose, of your white-collar style is you've got your document controllers, site admin, not site manager, but maybe like an office manager on a large site. They'll be on your early 20s, so maybe £22,000 to £26,000 with a bit of experience. Then we've got to think about, who do we want to work for? So we could work for a main contractor, we could work for a subcontractor, we could work for client side or as a consultant, or we could work for a developer. And all of these people are going to pay differently and expect different things out of you. And it all makes sense how much you earn from each one. So if we think we work for, say, a client building a hotel, they can make a lot of money from that hotel. Likewise, a consultant on behalf of the client is probably charging about 30-40% markup. So it stands to reason they're going to pay their employees pretty well because they've got large margins. Similarly, a developer is probably making about 30%. Again, you're going to pay your staff well because you're making more money. Somebody like a main contractor is only making maybe 5% on a project. So can you pay your staff big wages if you're only making 5%? Well, probably not, to be honest. And that's why main contractors, they pay lower wages than a developer. Contrary to this is the subcontractors. Their original gambit is to make around 20-25% profit on their packages, and obviously they get squeezed, things happen on site. It gets a bit lower than that, but they end up paying their staff lower than the main contractor who's on a lower margin. It's kind of how you calculate your margin though. From highest to lowest, again, you've got client side and developer number one, main contractor number two, and then the lowest paid, actually the people working for the subcontractors. Next, very interestingly, is the bonuses. Now, construction bonuses, they're not like bankers' bonuses, but they can get to a decent level. When I was a graduate, my bonus was nothing. I got £0. Then when I moved up to trainee/assistant, it was £1,000. And I was really happy with that because, like the year before, I expected nothing. So I was happy with my £1,000. And then once you move into the kind of site manager, quantity surveyor, you start looking at the kind of £3,000 to £5,000, 5,000 might be pushing it, £3,000 to £4,000 a year bonuses, which are quite nice. Then things start to get interesting. Once you start taking on the role of, your project lead, project director, commercial manager, and you start having a team and you're the project lead, maybe design lead, that's when things start getting interesting. And your bonuses tend to be based on the project as a whole. So you might do a 2 or 3 year project, and your incentive from your business will be to stay for the duration of the project. So instead of getting £3,000 a year, they might say, right, your bonus, if the project is going well, is going to be more like £20,000 a year, but you're going to be paid at the end of the project. So you have to see it through. There's also one more caveat to that, is the project has to go well. They're going to say to you, well, one, you need to finish on time. Really, you should be finishing early if you want to receive a bonus like that. And 2, the financials need to be good. So this is our projected profit that we want to make. Are we making that? Yes, well, you've unlocked your minimum bonus. Are you bettering that figure? If yes, actually your bonus is going to increase as well. So you can have a kind of staged bonus. And that's where it starts getting interesting and you can actually start doing something with your bonus money. In conclusion, who do we want to work for and what do we want to do? If I was to go back in time and do it all again, actually, I'd probably do the same thing. Of course, it depends on your passions and what you're interested in. But if the goal is purely to make as much money as possible whilst working for somebody else, what job do we take and who do we work for? Well, we want to work for a developer or we want to work client side. And really, we want to be working as a quantity surveyor or a project lead, project manager. We want to be following that route. That's how we're going to make the most money, the most quickly, with the most progression.